Hi, everyone. I'm Clyde Bryant, and welcome to episode 26 of the Uptown Experts podcast. I want to be honest with you before we start. I've done breathworks twice. I think that's the right way to put it. I've done breath work twice now. The first time was in my sauna. Admittedly, I did not listen. And the second time was this morning.
Okay.
Because I wanted to be prepared for, this conversation. I didn't want to be a phony. And what I will say is the emotions that kind of ran through me the first time, which is when I needed to stop, and the second time when I actually took the opportunity, I was not ready for. And even in my, limited experience, I had a little bit of a variation between the first and second session, as I'll put it. And that's really, my wanting to do this is what led me to reach out to you. Mm-hmm. And so before I, go any further, let me take the opportunity to introduce my friend and transformational leader.
Sure.
At Elemental Rhythm, Giovanni Gio Bartolomeo.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you for coming to the podcast.
It's an absolute pleasure. Just when you reached out, I was like, okay, yeah, let's chat. We went for lunch, and here we are. So it's an honor to be here, honor to share. Like I said, I'm open book. Ask me any questions you want. Hopefully it can be helpful for those that are listening.
And that's, wanting to be helpful. That's what this is about. For me, this was something that spoke to me, something that made me reach out to you. I see you sometimes passing by different places, Woodbridge, Vaughan, not a big place. You're part of similar social circles, so to speak. And, you hear the stories, Gio's doing this and Gio's doing that. And, and I see you and we talk a little bit and I'm like, okay, but I need to hear firsthand. What is Gio actually up to? What are you doing? What is this elemental rhythm? Talk to me.
So what am I doing? Sometimes I wake up in the morning, ask myself that same question every morning, what do I want to be when I grow up? What am I doing? Long story short, I've just really learned to follow my heart and to go where the passion, the excitement is, and where that's led me through my own journey of transformation, personal development, seeking spirituality, whatever you want to call it, is to become like a coach, a leader, a speaker. I do programs, I have online courses, I train people how to facilitate so they can lead other people through these transformational processes and practices, coming from a serial entrepreneur background where I was really just living a very transactional life, just trying to chase what's the next idea, thing that can make money. And realizing I was lacking fulfillment and purpose. It took me a while to get here. I'm a little bit stubborn, Taurus.
Welcome to the club.
But and I started moving into this space where, I'll help people one-to-one, one-to-many, into groups. And it's just helping them to really understand themselves better. One of the coaches that I had and worked with way back in the day when I was taking my coach certification said that all the answers exist within you. You just have to figure out how to find them. And if there's too much noise going on and too much outward focus, that you're going to ignore what's actually happening within you. And that can bubble up, can expand, can shut down. And this is what leads to a lot of things that we feel that we don't really know what's going on. And we keep on just trying to work externally. So as I understood that, it really inspired me to help others to kind of shut off their mind a little bit, go inward, and then use that knowledge, those answers within to really create a life that's really like they'd love to live, creating a life full of fulfillment, passion, depth. Sometimes it means having lots of money. Sometimes it means not caring about money. Sometimes it has nothing to do with that at all. And the one thing I realized as an entrepreneur and really chasing and being attracted to people who are really wealthy and doing well, because I thought that I could learn something from them, and maybe there's a lot of business, but I realized half of them are miserable. Well, and half of them are happy. So the money wasn't the differentiator.
No, it's not.
So that's kind of what I do now. So I teach courses, I teach certifications, I have some online businesses. So I'm into that whole online world of entrepreneurship and just really trying to help as many people as possible.
So I heard you say something, and I'm going to ask you to take a moment just to explain. Because it seems to me that you're the guy, and I heard you say it, that's forcing people to turn the spotlight inward and take a look at the things that maybe they've been running from their whole life. And that's got to be tough.
I'm just going to change one word that you said there. I don't force anyone to do anything.
Touche.
I invite them. But usually there's a calling first. Like by the time people reach out to me, there's already something that they felt within them, that this curiosity, that's your intuition. That's like, there's something more. Something he said really resonated with me.
Correct.
You know, or something they saw in me as a reflection of them, like my journey or things that I've been through, the things that I've experienced. And the stories may be different, but the feelings are the same. I felt like I was down and out, or I didn't know what to do. And so, you know, it's not as hard as you think. What's actually hard is doing the work. You know what I mean?
So true.
So, and it's an invitation that people that are ready, and there's this ancient saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? But then the work is, how much do you want to know about yourself? And a lot of people are afraid to find out, but there's something that keeps pulling them back, you know? So yeah, it's an invitation, you know, it's an invitation. But what I do know is that from a lot of the people that I look up to that have changed my life, they've all been through that same process themselves. You know, they were seeking, they hit rock bottoms, they went sideways, whatever. They found something, and on the other side was something way greater than what they could have even imagined where they were before.
You're helping people get back in touch with themselves. And, you know, the main tool for that is breath work.
Breathwork is one of the main tools that I use, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, jokingly, but being real, that's something most of us do automatically. So let's dive in. Tell me a little bit about what is breath work? How does it work?
It's funny because a lot of people say like I breathe all the time.
Yeah, I'm breathing.
So first off, what is breath work? You know, let's just start there. So breath work is a term that's kind of like a blanket term. It's like exercise. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's HIIT, there's like high intensity training. I guess that's HIIT, it's the same thing. Weights, cardio, yoga. You can do Pilates. Like it can be anything.
Yeah.
So breath work, there's a few different kind of buckets you can put into. One is just optimizing your breath. Your nervous system, your heart rate, it's all connected to the way you breathe. Now, if we're in a stressful state, like a fight or flight or nervous system response, your breathing is going to change. And it's going to reinforce that state. So by learning how to breathe better, functional breathing, it'll help you sleep better, have more energy, stuff like that. So that's one element of it. And when you have a more regulated nervous system, when you're more grounded, people like to say, you're more calm and at peace, guess what? You're less reactive. You have better insights. You can make better decisions. You're going to sleep better. You're going to recover more. The other end of the spectrum, I would say, would be the transformational breathing. So this is the breathing practice like the ones you were trying that really change your brainwave states, shut off the analytical mind, allow you to go deeper into your body, into your nervous system, into your subconscious mind. That's where all the real transformation work happens. Because a lot of the programs that we have that we're running on were formed at an early age in life that really dictate how we operate, dictate what triggers us, dictate what we're pulled to, what we're told, what we receive. Is like all in this program, like a computer that's running on autopilot. Like 95% of the things that we experience, the things that we are attracted to, is run by the subconscious. Conscious mind's like 3 to 5%. So the gyms know this. Every New Year's, everyone just finished eating and drinking. It's like, oh yeah, sign up for your year membership. It's on sale. Everyone signs up. They go for 2 weeks and then they never go again. Like,
thank you for your money.
That's because the conscious mind, willpower can only go so far. So breath work is a way to help kind of break through that barrier, the prefrontal cortex. Science has shown that when we do intentional breathing, rhythmic breathing, brainwaves change. It goes from beta, alpha, theta, highly suggestible states. From there, you can start putting in a new program, a new idea, a new belief system. Also, the prefrontal cortex is the front part where they say the analytical mind resides, where the ego is. That's holding on to all these things. That's really protecting you. When that shuts off, it allows you to go into a space that's free of that. So you can explore, you can understand, and with a little bit of gentle guidance, we can go and really see what's under the hood there. So I like to call breath work is like the access point. You know, it's funny because I was just working on this in my marketing. It's called the transformational access point. The access point stands for TAP, T-A-P. It's like tapping in. You want to tap in?
Yeah.
Breath work's going to help you tap in. So it allows you to go beyond that. But that's just the beginning of it, right? You know, and sometimes just breathing alone, shutting off our mind is great for people. Just to have that reprieve of not having the monkey mind running 24/7 allows them to kind of just take a step back. The other thing most people don't do is they don't contemplate. They don't have any introspection. They're always focused on external, putting out fires, reacting. So when you have that space, you can contemplate, what do I actually want in life? How am I feeling about this?
Yeah.
What are some things I can do differently? That introspection, even if you're not doing breath work, like most people don't take the time to think about, what do I actually really want in life? How do I want to feel?
Exactly.
You know, they're just responding to their emotions, responding to their nervous system and trying to keep up. And it's exhausting. And a lot of people burn out because of that. Or a lot of people will shut off, get depressed, or worry about the future and the past, but they're not taking this time to really sit back and contemplate and introspect. So that's where breath work comes in, and both as a daily practice for building resilience in the nervous system and for doing the deeper work. Other breath work can be for sports, for athletic performance, there's breath training, breath holding, there's pranayama, different breaths you can do to just change your state, you know, to deregulate yourself. But in a nutshell, that's where it is. There's resilience practices and state shifting, how to calm yourself down or activate yourself, and the deeper work. That's where I like to kind of like create the separation. Does that make sense? Is that clear?
Makes sense, I think. Yeah. No, I'm joking. Yeah, 100%. So let me ask you this. What is it that I'm going to say first pulled you into beginning your journey? And then I'm going to further that with, what are you still searching for?
Those are two good questions. So what first pulled me in? So people that know this area, I grew up in Woodbridge. Very Italian family. Well, I was actually only half Italian. So I was kind of like one of the outcasts being half Italian.
Whoa.
So I get we're kind of like in a similar area, a little bit different, but I did feel that, you know, feel that, you know.
Maybe that's why we were attracted, right?
So I was half Italian. I think you become adopted Italian. I think we started calling you Claudio at some point.
Exactly.
With all the love and intention, but you know, growing up there, everyone thought the same, dressed the same, you're into the same things, everyone's playing soccer, everyone's going out. As we're growing, everyone's doing the same thing. Work hard, make money, who's got more than you, how do I get what they have? You're going to high school, I'm driving my parents' 1990 minivan, someone's got this Golf, yellow, pimped out, Momo rims. I'm like, how do I get that?
Exactly, Momo rims. Oh my gosh.
And the system in their car, and I'm like cranking this like, you know, Dodge minivan. Anyways. So there was this understanding or belief that in order to be happy, you had to make money. Net worth and self-worth was the same thing. And so it's interesting the way schools work is like the smartest kids, usually they get into this funnel where it's like, okay, what can I do? I'm going to be a CA, a lawyer, I'm going to get into finance, or a doctor. So maybe something around those. Yeah. Who cares what they actually like? What makes the most money?
That's what it is.
Kind of funnels them into this thing. And so for me, like I tried going down that path. My dad wanted me to be an accountant. He was an accountant. He wanted me to be a better accountant than him, to be a CA. Ended up getting to business school, went to Schulich. Realized very quickly that I hated accounting. I was great at numbers, but it was not what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life.
Yeah, agreed.
And I started like seeing what other people were doing, like people that were entrepreneurs, you know. And first business, I started a clothing line with my friend Gabe, and you know we were selling T-shirts and stuff like that. And you know,
by the way,
fun.
I bought one of those.
Yeah, a lot of people did. You know what? For me, the validator was one time I saw someone at the drink, Sky Bar, wearing one of the shirts, and I was like, I don't know this guy.
Exactly.
And I was like, nice shirt. Where'd you get it? I think you got it at the attic or something like that. And I was like, man, I got to go grab one of those. But anyways, so that was kind of the journey. And then from there, I got into like selling insurance, got Primerica, another kind of like opportunity, kind of where we kind of like connected there. And just started, it was like, can I make money doing this? Is it a good idea? Let me try and do it. And so this transactional thing started happening where I was just always running, chasing, making money, losing money, until I finally got a little bit of stability in the food business. And it's funny because, you know, at one point in time, I realized recently that I was probably one of the top cannoli salesmen in North America. It's like I reached the top of something. There's not a lot of cannoli salesmen. There's not a lot of cannoli salesmen. We don't make a ton of money in cannoli, but I was doing it well enough finally. I was getting my head above water. You know, I bought, you know, my used BMW, which was kind of like the one in university that I had the picture of.
It's okay. Model. Check mark.
Bought a house, got married, had a kid, and I remember very clearly this one afternoon, I think I was taking a nap on a Saturday. Maybe I was hungover from the night before, I don't know. I remember being at the edge of my bed and kind of just like sitting there, and I was like in this contemplative mode, and this kind of voice was in my head was saying like, Gio, clever guy, you figured out how to make some money, you know, you're living this kind of like comfortable-ish life. You're not where you want to be, but you know, it's good. And you're going to go on one vacation every year, and you do the same thing over and over and over again. You're going to wake up 80, 90 years old. and you look back at your life and you think, wow, who cares? You know, and I was looking at my hands and I saw these wrinkly old hands like my grandfather's, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, this thing was like, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be more than just like working my ass off, trying to just, you know, hustle and do what I was doing. I probably had a few things going on at any given moment, like 1, 2, 3 businesses I'm trying to launch. And what I realized in that moment was I was completely unfulfilled and I had no sense of purpose. Did I like cannolis? Yeah. Did I love it?
Everybody likes cannolis.
Did I love it? Was it making me feel like, oh wow, I gotta bring cannolis to the world and change people's life? There was no fulfillment, and maybe that was just my character, my archetype. But I felt that that's what something was missing, and I realized that I kept myself busy all the time because I didn't want to sit with what I was feeling, you know. And I felt like I was destined for more, but I didn't know what more even meant. I thought it was more money. And as I'm starting to make money, I'm realizing I don't feel any different. You know, do I need to make 10 times this, 100 times this, and then will I feel different?
And then you start asking yourself, well, how much is enough?
Well, how long is it going to take? Am I going to waste my whole life seeking it to get there and say like, oh, it's not the point? You know, we hear guys like Jim Carrey saying this. You got to make 10 million to realize it's not worth it. And everyone's like, okay, let me make the 10 million first so I can find out for myself.
I'll take it first, please.
Yeah, I want to find out for myself.
Exactly.
Right?
Maybe I'll be different than you.
and I think that's part of the process. You kind of have to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, anyone could tell, you could read it in any book. And so what happened next was, okay, I got this problem and I need to figure it out. I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are great problem solvers. I'm going to solve this problem.
That's what we do.
And so I start reading different books. I start looking at different philosophies, spirituality, Bhagavad Gita, Buddhism, Stoic philosophy, start going to these rabbit holes, YouTube videos. And I'm feeling like I'm having a higher level of understanding. I realize like it's all just kind of like mental masturbation type thing. It's like I'm more information's coming in, but I'm not embodying it. Like I don't understand it, but it makes sense, you know? Until I came across this video, which was, I was watching an Alan Watts video. He's like an English guy that talks about Buddhism. So he was explaining these concepts really well. And in one of the comments, someone mentioned a guy named Terrence McKenna. It was like, hey, if this is interesting, this guy will blow your mind. I'm like, oh, perfect. And I'm into binging, watching all this stuff.
Yep, sign me up.
So I go on this other channel or whatever, and as soon as I hear him, I can just like, it was very poetic, and he's speaking about plant medicine, psychedelics. And, you know, I remember in high school, you know, smoking a little bit of weed or trying mushrooms at a party with some beer. Like it was always like drugs type thing. And he's talking about this inward journey and finding God and transforming lives and people like healing from all kinds of crazy shit. I'm like, this makes no sense. I've never heard anything like this. Psychedelics, plant medicines, ayahuasca, mushrooms.
Okay.
And I was like, this is weird, you know? And so, but the way he's speaking, I was so absorbed and I could feel this pull that I hadn't felt in a long time. You know, like I remember feeling a pull to like sports and maybe girls, and this was different. There was this innate curiosity. And so, you know, many hours later of binge watching, I decide I'm going down to the jungle and I'm going to go drink this stuff and find out for myself. So I'm feeling this feeling over a couple months of unfulfillment, feeling lost. What am I doing with my life? You know, like, I don't know if I, you know, like, yeah, I can build this business and keep going, but like searching for something more, like this deeper understanding, seeking, not even enlightenment, just a deeper sense of awareness.
So this wasn't about business. This was like a calling.
It was, but it comes full circle in the end. But it was something because I had to understand more. And so I go to my wife and I'm like, hey, there's this thing I got to go try, you know? And again, like business people are going there and entrepreneurs are going there and like high level executives are doing this thing. Now it's really mainstream. Like almost all these top guys are going down to these things because it unlocks something, which I'll get to a little bit later. But I tell my wife, I'm going to hang out with the jungle in Brazil. I'm going to drink this stuff. I'm probably going to crap my pants, throw up, lose my mind for a couple weeks. What do you think? And she looks at me like I got two heads. And
Exactly.
She's like, are you crazy? Like, have you
There's
lost your mind?
something wrong with you.
So think about like Woodbridge, you know, the mentality of like, and then I'm coming up with this idea of like,
very unconventional.
and no one's talking about this stuff back
No.
then. Like now, like it's still new to a lot of people, but it's out there. Like there's psychedelic companies, they're raising money for drug research, and you know, even a lot of companies in this area have been doing that as well. But then no. And you know, I was in sales, I was a good negotiator, so I negotiated hard. Eventually, you know, I'm going, she's pregnant with our second, and I go down there and
Hold on. No, I'm not letting you skate on that one. You just said she was pregnant when you asked her to go away to the jungle.
it was early on in the pregnancy. It was a safe place, I promise you. Did the research.
Okay.
But there was all these synchronicities that were leading me there. Like synchronicities when you start seeing a pattern that's popping up. And sometimes our brain is looking for it once you put something in there, because you learn about how the brain works. Like when you're looking for a new car, you see that car everywhere. So and this is why it's really important, like what you're putting in that process or what's searching for. If you're putting negativity and fear and all this stuff, you're looking for all that. It's reinforcing that. So anyways, I was looking for this transformation. It was plant medicine was the thing, and it led me there. And I went, and in the first experience, I had this whole death experience. I realized how afraid I was of death at the time, which probably meant I really didn't have as deep of faith as I did in God. But I was reborn, and through that process, it showed me, he's like, hey, you think you're smart, you figured out all this crap in your life, and you know nothing about anything. Like, so get off your high horse, and let's start at the beginning. And it was very humbling. It brought me really to like my knees, and then other experiences through that week were just really like opened my heart in ways I didn't know was possible, like the feelings of love and compassion and love for my family, and teaching me about like the difference between my mind and my heart, and how like if you're too much here, you're not going to feel here, and you're going to be out of alignment for sure. You know what I mean? And most of my life I lived in my head for sure. And so I come back, I'm like, okay, I need to find people that I can learn more about this stuff. Like where I am in this area, there's not much for me here in this direction I'm going. So I went out to learn from other people. And I found some guys that had a podcast, like, let me volunteer. I was still working, doing my thing. And I hop on the I start create my own podcast with these guys, and I start just interviewing people I want to talk to, interesting people in the space, like similar to what you're doing. And I started meeting these amazing people. I met a guy named Wim Hof, who's like the Iceman. He's on all these crazy challenges, climbed mountains in his shorts, and ran like a marathon north of the Arctic Circle barefoot, doing breath work and ice baths and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, I want to meet this guy. I told my wife, I'm going to meet this guy. So we get him on the podcast, we connect, and he says, come to my first training in the States in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains. So I go there, know nothing about breath work, nothing really about cold exposure. Like I just kind of showed up, I did a few breathing things.
You were brave, not like me. I'd be like, research team, please tell me everything.
I knew who he was. I did a few of his practices. Okay, I got enough. But I go there and I sit around this circle, like 30, 40 different people, all walks of life. And they're all sharing how breath work, being in nature, mindfulness, changed their life, addiction, depression, anxiety, help them with like chronic pain, like you name it. Like every single thing, by the time I got around the circle, I was just like, wow, how is this possible? It just didn't make sense to me based on everything that I knew about health and wellness up until that point.
But did you know about this coming in?
Not really to that extent. Like, I thought it was a cool thing to do.
Exactly.
And when it got to me, I was like, I don't know really what I'm doing here. Like, I thought it'd be cool for my Instagram, maybe get some followers, take a picture with Wim. But I did the whole week, and we're diving in the frozen lakes and climbing the mountains. It was amazing and hard and challenging. And there was this understanding of like, you can do way more than you believe you can, And then on the last day, he leads us through this breathing experience. And it was funny because only till recently I realized that actually my first actual breathwork experience was at that time I went to Brazil, and it didn't work. I was trying, people are screaming and crying and this, and I'm just like, are these guys acting? Like, what is going on? And I'm like, okay, maybe it's not for me. So he leads us through this one, and about 20 minutes into it, I feel this vibration moving through my body, and I keep breathing because I feel safe, and I'm trusting this guy. Next thing you know, this whole out-of-body experience where like I leave my body completely. I'm looking down at myself, and I'm just like, recognize that, okay, I'm floating on top of the room. This is weird. And I see myself, and that's when I kind of like was like, holy shit, what's happening? Am I dreaming? The fear kind of snapped me back into my body. I remember like opening my eyes, taking this first breath. It was like the first breath, like I was reborn. I don't even know how to explain it. And within a few seconds, I felt this swell of emotion coming up. And before I could think, Gio, don't cry in front of all these people, like be a man, like it just pours out. And I wasn't ready for it, but I let it happen. And it felt so good. And this voice comes back, that same voice on the side of my bed, which I don't know if it's God, my higher self, my spirit angel, whatever you want to call it. But it felt like something that was greater than me or connected to me in some sort of way. It's like, you're doing a good job. Well done. Keep following your heart. You're on the right path. Don't give up. This reinforcing positive talk that was not my usual self-talk. It was like, Gio, you're an idiot. What'd you do? Yeah. You messed up again.
How do you not figure that out?
Harder. Yeah.
You didn't see that coming.
And so I remember leaving that feeling like a whole different person. Like I felt lighter. I was inspired. I was like, more people need to know about this stuff. So I came back to Toronto. I was like, let me find anyone I can learn this stuff from, which there was not much around. And I went on my own journey. And I just learned about how to help myself transform and keep on going deeper and understanding myself and unlocking more things I was holding on to. And every time I'd release some of that, I'd feel lighter. And you do the breath work, and It opens up your creativity. It opens up your clarity because your mind is shutting off. You're going to this space that I was actually getting better ideas for business. I was finding more passion. And I started realizing like all the experience I had in the wrong areas, I still carry that experience with me, but now I can filter it through something I'm passionate about. It has more longevity, where I really care about what I'm creating, how it's impacting people. And that's creating fulfillment and purpose, and seeing that. And as I'm helping people, as I started teaching breath work, sharing it, the feeling I would get was like a feeling I never got in business. It was like money couldn't buy it. And it was like, okay, like I'm following this feeling because I know my mind is like, you'll never make money doing breath work. You're never going to be able to do anything like this. You're stupid. Don't do that. My heart's just like, yeah, keep going. Don't listen to that guy, you know? And that's kind of how it started. And it kind of just evolved. And I opened a wellness studio in Vaughan at the time, which was my way of thinking, okay, if I'm doing something that's helping people, maybe that's what I got to do. So I start this whole new business. I know nothing about in real life businesses. I know nothing about wellness businesses, float tanks, saunas, ice bath, meditation in Woodbridge. Done. Wrong area, wrong time. Like now they're kind of ready for it.
Yeah, it's kind of, now it's like, wait a minute.
It was like such a pioneer thing. Yeah. But what I realized later, it brought up all these fears in me: fear of failure, you know, fear of rejection, fear of like losing everything. Like I had to go through that to see like what was really important, you know. And you know, after 7 years, I ended up like choosing to close it down because I was ready and I knew that it wasn't serving me anymore. But that was my biggest fear for the first 7 years, losing it, losing everything. At the end, I was like, okay, I'm ready to close and move on because I know it's not alignment. And as an entrepreneur, I see now that, and not just in business, but business and relationships are the two things that are going to show you who you really are.
Oh yeah.
It's going to bring you the challenges, show you a mirror to your face, bring up these things that, yeah, you can make a decision behind dark, but like someone upstairs is kind of watching and you're watching yourself. So it's a spiritual test, all of it, for me, has become. So, okay, like how do I walk this earth? Do I want to go to church every Sunday and just say like I follow Jesus, or am I actually acting in that way of Christ consciousness that he's teaching? And that's what, it still gets challenged, but I'm just trying to be better every single day. Like how can I show up in a different way and how can I help people more? And I firmly believe that the more you give, the more you receive. As I help more people, even sometimes the people that I help doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, this person's down and out. They have no money. You're never going to make money doing that. But by helping them, something else comes around, an opportunity, you know? And as I was going through that, you know, thinking like, where's this going to lead me? Like I got myself in these massive stages, speaking to like 1,000 people, getting invited around the world to travel. I just got an invitation to go to Necker Island with Richard Branson's private island for an exclusive retreat with 40 people. It's like, okay, I guess I'm meant to be there. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And so my life has been enriched with like all this different kinds of abundance, depth of experience, relationships with people that are more in alignment, business opportunities. It's evolved, but that all happened with me evolving this inner vibration within me. Because the more that changed, the more I was able to attract, create, and manifest bigger opportunities, the right things that were in alignment. The old me was like, and a lot of people are stuck here in this fear mentality, which is a fear vibration, which is like, I have to do this or else. Which is if I don't do this, what's going to happen? Which is like, I got to win. I got to take advantage. Everyone's out to get me. And again, like that can get you a certain level of success, but you're always living on edge. You're always living in this kind of like fearish vibration, which most people won't even notice. And they build a good protection mechanism. They'll go through life and it's fine. And I'm not trying to judge anyone. And I think like everyone can do things their own way, but I realized like that's what was really holding me back from what the full potential of what I could do. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm rambling now.
No, it does. It does. So, and listen, I appreciate your honesty because like a lot of people that are listening, I'm sure, are saying this is extremely
crazy?
Yes. I was trying to find a political way of putting it.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, right? But
if I listened to this 10 years ago, someone saying this, I would have ran in the other direction.
Yeah, it's unconventional, right? Let's say it's unconventional. And like, if it's you know what? Here's what I'm going to say. Let me just jump to this. Understanding that this is so unconventional, and what motivates you to continue down this road?
Because my life has become magical, man. Like, I work when I want. I travel around the world. I get to take my family. My wife doesn't work anymore. And I see how this works, changed my life. And I see how it's changing other people's lives. And, you know, I can give you some examples of the two. It's interesting. Like I was thinking about like some of the best performers in the world that are working from this fear frequency. And so it can bring insane levels of success at the cost of their lives.
Yeah, cost of oneself.
Let's talk about Michael Jordan. Let's talk about Michael Jackson. Let's talk about Tiger Woods. Let's talk about a lot of these billionaires that have done all the success in the world and inside they can't shut it off. They're struggling, alcohol, women, addictions, drugs. And but what a lot of those, their same stories is like, had to prove to dad, what had to be good enough. And this belief that I'm not enough creates this external expression of I have to prove to everyone, even if they can. I have friends like this too. They'll succeed 10 times more than their parents ever did, but this belief is still I'm not enough, so they'll keep going forever. They can never shut it off, you know? But I watched the Michael Jackson documentary on the other day. There's something interesting that I picked out of that is how he was creating his music. He was meditating and getting clear in his mind. He was downloading it from like this thing from God. And he's like, if I don't get it, Prince is gonna get it. And it's interesting because when an idea's time is ready, it's gonna come through.
It will.
And people are gonna pick it up. And so the work that I do, I feel like it's the time that there's enough people that will resonate with this and they'll feel and they'll actually want to try to learn a little bit more about it, understand. And it doesn't mean you gotta do what I do. It means you start doing something that's gonna allow you to start taking that next little step. Because once you feel it, then you'll know. You know, it doesn't mean like, oh yeah, once you realize like I gotta leave my relationship, quit my job, do all this stuff. It's like, no. You know, it's like start getting more into your heart and you're gonna see that's gonna unlock this incredible journey in your life. Because ultimately, most people think that money is gonna give them happiness, joy, and peace. And a lot of times it's actually a lot more accessible if you can just see beyond that. That's actually not what it is. Because a lot of people at their deathbed, what do they want to do? They want to spend time with their family. They want to go back and do it again and do things differently. Catching yourself while it's happening is so hard because you're blinded by it. So, you know, when I work with people, it's like trying to get them to have that awareness now before it's too late.
So let me ask you this. What does this actually look like? What does your morning practice look like?
Yeah, so it's gonna be different for everyone. And some people are very disciplined, we'll do the same thing all the time. But for me, I wake up early, I drink some water, I go down, do a little bit of breath work, meditation, red light, and I'll just start envisioning my day and envisioning a future version of myself that is more expanded than I am now. So what does that feel like? The certain things I'm feeling now where I feel constriction, the certain thing that kind of I'm like worried about. It's like, okay, what does it feel like to not have that? What does it feel like to deepen my relationships? What does it feel like to serve my community at a higher level, the things that I'm building, like to really have that impact and really just get into that vibration as if it's already happened. Like that's like 101 manifesting. Starting your day with that. The other thing is like eating healthy. The other thing is like exercising a little bit and having a good reason why I'm doing it. You know what I mean? And when you start realizing how much better you feel, how much clearer, how much better you can show up for your work and things are important. And that's kind of like my daily routine is like around that. Now, is it perfect? No. Do I do it every single day? No.
There's no such thing as perfect.
You know? But I know if I miss a day, okay, catch up tomorrow.
Yeah.
I miss a couple of days, okay, let's get back on track.
I like to say I'm perfectly imperfect.
Right. And again, like if you set that standard, I have to be perfect, you're always gonna fail and you're gonna be hard on yourself. You know, it's a perfectionist curse. There's no such thing as perfect. So it's that, and it's about following my intuition, learning about things that I'm curious about, you know, and always being able to look at where my life is now and be completely honest that if something is out of alignment, okay, I know something has to change here. Whether I got to stop doing this, whether I got to pivot, whether I got to like, you know, and the biggest mistake I made was like focusing on how much was invested in the past and carrying that for much longer than I need to. And a few entrepreneurs I look up to talk about that a lot. When they knew it was time to make a pivot, and they had invested so much, they had to like try to bring it back, try to turn it over, try to make the sale. And they wasted another 5 years of their life where if they just stopped and focused on what they felt, they would have already been building further ahead.
So this is something you're living every day. And it's not just a theory, magic, hocus pocus, right? So let's talk about why this works, because I think most people still don't really understand what's happening when this is done properly. So let me ask you this specifically. Why is breath work so powerful, or why is this transformational process so powerful when done correctly?
Yeah, so like I'm not reinventing the wheel here. You know, like a lot of these things, like Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, a lot of like even going back, Emerson and Neville Goddard, they talk about these things about creating. Like we're creators. You know, we create our reality. So our thoughts are really important. What we speak is really important. The internal dialogue, what you think, what you speak, is what you start to feel. And the more you're feeling, like I said earlier, into that negativity or that idea keeps coming up and you're thinking about, oh, I always get the wrong partner, or my boss sucks, this and that, or, you know, your mind's gonna start looking for more of that. And so you create this pattern of reinforcement and this reinforcement of belief that this is the way it is. So in order to change that, you got to change the whole narrative. You got to change your state, change your beliefs, change what you're thinking about, and really get clear on what you want. So if you don't know what you want, if you're not thinking about that, then you're kind of stuck in the hamster wheel.
Yeah, lacking direction.
And if you're not doing anything to change your state, you're going to be still stuck in that pattern that's there. So breath work for me is the easiest way that even with no experience, in one session you can feel it, you'll clear your mind, and you'll create this opening. Okay, once you have the opening, now what do I do? Put in that new program. What do I actually want to create? How do I want to feel? What's something I can do today? I want to have a great day today, versus waking up and saying, oh man, I don't want to have a great day today. Today's going to suck, you know? And that energy will bleed through into your relationships, into your business, into the culture at your work, whatever you're doing. Like even like for people that share on social media, you ever see someone that they just speak and there's something attracts you to them, that you feel this vibration, and there's other people that you could tell they're just regurgitating something they said in AI. There's no feeling, there's no emotion. Like you can feel their energy. You can walk into a room and feel people's energy.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it still may seem like hocus pocus to a lot, but follow your intuition, a gut feeling. That's your nervous system trying to tell you something. Your emotions are like a GPS to your soul. Things that you feel means, hey, pay some attention. This is coming up for a reason. The same thing triggers you all the time, or it's like you're blaming it on every other people. It's actually something within you, right? Because no one else can have any power over you unless you give it to them.
True.
Right. And so that's what this work does. It starts really reframing the lens through which you see this reality. And so for me, if I had to explain it, it's like a spectrum. You know, it's not just like, hey, one day I'm here, the next day I'm awake and in my expansive self. It's like there's a very asleep version of ourselves that's just in this performative state. So you're performing based on everything that you've experienced before that you need to survive, that you need to kind of like handle all these beliefs, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm gonna be alone, or I'm unsafe, or, you know, like what your parents told you, so what you've seen, what you heard, what you experienced growing up.
That's your program.
But it's like you're reading off a script and you're behaving that way. And the more you do that, over time, you're gonna feel this gap, this hollowness, this unfulfillment, depression, anxiety, stress, burnout, because it's not what you're actually supposed to be doing. And a lot of times people start feeling that. They don't know, I'm doing everything right. I'm working my ass off. I'm doing everything everyone told me to do.
I listened, I swear.
But did you ask yourself, what do I really want?
Exactly.
No. And then a lot of people don't know what they really want. So anyways, that's where it starts. Once you start having a little bit of space, and on the furthest part of the spectrum is just reaction. Your nervous system reacts. Something happens, they react. They get an email, they react. Someone says something, triggers them, they react. And there's many different examples of that. As you start creating more space, you're a little more present, a little more aware, a little more conscious. There's a space between something happening and your reaction. You can contemplate a little bit. It's like, wait a minute, do I have to respond like that? Wait a minute, does that actually mean something about me? So you start creating this space, and you start, if you are doing the work, you start seeing where I'm showing up as something that's actually not me. When you start paying attention to your feelings. What are the things I'm doing that feels out of alignment? That brings me dread, that just is like exhausting, that's weighing on me. And again, like, listen, you get up a food on the table, you get a roof over your head. There's some things that you got to do.
Yeah.
But you can still change your perspective and enjoy life differently as you do this work. And eventually you get into this place which is your authentic self, which is not attached to any of those performative, or less attached. Maybe it's never going to be perfect. But when you have that space, then you start really creating from that place. What do I really want? How do I really want to impact people? What can I bring into my business? So some people that are entrepreneurs, they'll go and do ayahuasca, or they'll go and do plant medicine. They'll go on this retreat. And a lot of them are afraid.
Yeah, of course.
If I go there, am I going to like be a hippie and go live in the woods and lose my business and all this stuff? I've never seen that happen. Well, maybe a few times.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'm not
But
coming.
people that were already very financially secure, they didn't need to work anyway. So like, okay, what am I doing? I'm wasting the rest of my life. I've got millions of dollars. I'm killing myself. I'm going to change, right? And they were way happier after. But a lot of people will take that inspiration and run their business a little bit differently. Yeah. Or do it in a different way, or do more charity work, or whatever. Like they get inspired, they don't lose that skill set, and now it allows them to expand what they're doing, have more impact, feel more fulfillment, maybe even spend more time with their family, do a little bit less work, but they realize, okay, like I don't need to work 40 hours a day.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. And they feel okay about doing it too. And that's the fear. It's like, oh, the thought of that is like, what's going to happen?
Yep.
You know, what would that look like? So I don't know if I'm rambling again, but that's kind of like what starts happening as you're doing the work.
So it sounds to me like you're bypassing the analytical mind.
You learn to work with it versus like let it run the show.
Yeah, okay. So
Because it's important. The analytical mind is very important for
It's
decision
very,
making,
of
for
course.
weighing options. But I think if you lead with your heart and use the analytical mind to validate, verify, cross-reference, make sure, versus everything is analytical and we kind of shut off the feelings, right? So everything that's in our body has a purpose. It's designed by the creator that was very smart. Sometimes we think we're smarter than them, but it's all designed perfectly. You know, and I think the journey is that you lose yourself so you can find yourself in the end with all the skills that took you to get there.
I heard you say the word fear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you this. What is it that people fear about giving breath work, or what I'm going to call this transformational process, a try? Is it the emotions that are trapped inside, or what is it? Uncertainty.
The ego, the way it's designed is for survival. Okay. So as long as we're living and we're alive and we're not dead and we're not dying, let's keep everything the way it is exactly right now.
I'm good.
Even if you're suffering, a drug addict, someone who's like, down and out, or again, like working edge of burnout, knowing that, hey, I just need to take 2 weeks off. I'm going to ask my boss. The uncertainty of how the boss is going to respond makes them not do it.
Yeah.
So the ego loves certainty. So anything that's uncertain is going to avoid like the plague, and the heart's always saying like, hey, your growth is outside your comfort zone. You need to go, you need to try it. But that's why we have the conscious choice. We got to make that decision. Am I ready to dive in? I think I said this the other day. I can't remember who said it, but one of the great philosophers said, the treasure you seek is in the cave you fear to enter. Right? And
Very
that's
wise.
why it's hard, but the only way out is through. If we're bearing these emotions and thinking we can just pile on top and we never want to go there, we're never going to get through that. And that liberation is on the other side of that unlocking of the things that are holding us back. Some people may just be happy with where they are and never want to go there, and that's fine too. You know what I mean? Everyone is choose your own story. Remember those books when you kind of like growing up, choose your own adventure? Yeah, choose your own adventure. Everyone has the freedom of choice, right? But for me, it became very clear. It was like, okay, let me go off the deep end and see what's there. And what I found changed my life completely.
The ego's job is to keep you exactly where you are, even when it's not working. So let's talk about that. What is the ego exactly protecting us from?
It's just survival. Its only thing is don't die. Don't die, survive. So it's to seek pleasure, avoid pain. So you have a painful experience growing up, your ego's not going to say, never put yourself in that situation again. So grade 2, Clyde gets up to say a speech about soccer and why Italy's going to win the World Cup. And, someone put a Portugal sticker on his thing. He didn't notice, everyone's laughing. He's like, oh, he's talking about Italy. He's got Portugal, whatever. And then they make this nickname that's like, oh, you're actually a Portugal fan, and it's embarrassing. And that experience, like, you associate being in front of a crowd of people as unsafe, as embarrassing, as whatever. So anytime there's a crowd, you're like, hey, I'm not going to go there. Yeah. Someone invites you up stage to say a few words at your birthday, or you take a prize, like, no, say it for me, right? The ego's like, that was bad. Let's make sure that never happens again. It's not true. It's just the recorded belief of that, right? So the ego is always trying to protect against those things. This is where these performative archetypes kind of come out, where we're performing or avoiding that, and it's in autopilot, right? So it's just trying to create safety. And now again, like today, there's not that many real threats. Like back in the day, caveman is like, hey, like fall off a cliff, don't fall, get bitten by a snake, don't get eaten by a tiger. But now our nervous system has all these threats that we're trying to avoid. And the ego is scanning for all these things at the same time. That's just like they call it neuroception. So you're predictively trying to, predictive processing, trying to like think before it happens. And it's just like overwhelming all these things. If you have this whole lifetime of fears, beliefs, you're always on alert, looking for these things, whether they're real or not. It can be very draining, but as you do the work, you start realizing those aren't actually true. You start processing the things that happened to you before. It creates a space where you actually get to relax and to live in a different way. But the ego is just like survival, seek pleasure, and avoid pain, basically. And it's actually your amigo. It's actually a friend, and actually the more you can kind of listen and sit with it and recognize, it's actually telling you what you need to do, or what you need to stop doing, or where you need to kind of change, and then having the tools to kind of do that.
That's an interesting way to put it. So your ego is a survival system almost that I'm going to say can be very useful if you understand it.
100%. And why do you think like they have that term, oh, that guy's got such an ego? Those are the guys usually that probably were very insecure at one point. and had to kind of make themselves the loudest in the room, or maybe got bullied at one point. Now they're the strongest, or have to prove something. There's a belief in there that their ego is trying to like prove the opposite to be true. So sometimes it's a withdrawal. Sometimes it's the exact opposite, where it becomes performance. Like I said, those people that became the greatest in their sport, but inside were dying, is because like the ego's like, we need to prove all the time that we are not weak, that we don't suck, that we can win everything, right? So it's kind of like just pushing you into that one way or the other.
So the longer it shows up, all right, the longer it goes unchecked is where it might show up in the body or in the mind or in your everyday.
Yeah, it doesn't always necessarily mean it's like going to be bad or horrible, but there's extremes to it too, and that people don't realize where it's coming from, right?
So you mentioned Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson and a few others, even when we spoke. So those are like high performers that, you know, win everything, and externally I would say internally they feel empty, but externally it would look like, you know, they're on top of the world. Until
they stop winning. Until they stop getting the validation.
Exactly.
And then what happens? They collapse because they don't have that anymore, and they don't know what to do with this. What do? They gotta numb, they gotta gamble, they gotta go after women. They gotta find something that hits that dopamine receptor that gives them that same experience of winning, you know? So again, like for society, like we want these people, they're exciting, they bring passion, the fans love it.
But there's a hidden
would you want to
cost.
be that person?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like maybe it sounds amazing, but you don't see the other side of it. We're seeing it now in the media and social media, like what the struggles these guys are going through. And it's hard. Like I feel bad for them, you know? Now, some of these people will go to plant medicine, ayahuasca, and find, you know, a change. I've seen it happen with some people. At that degree, sometimes it's hard. And after you've been running a pattern for a long time, it's very hard to change for most people. But I don't know if it was the question you were asking, or?
Well, the question was, you know, why do peak performers often, you know, suffer the hidden cost, which it sounds like.
There's even sports psychologists. A friend of mine who was a professional golfer, you know, he was like amazing. He just talked about how like, in sports, and the psychologist is driving on these things that push the levers, like get in your head. And I realized that like the fear and the proving is such a big thing for athletes. Like the athlete that had nothing, that was living in poverty, that was like, I'm never gonna live in poverty again. I'm gonna prove it, and sports is my way out.
Yeah, 100%.
It drove them to be the best.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Many of those stories.
Many, right?
Yeah.
And because there was such a driver that some kid that grows up in Woodbridge that has it all doesn't have that same drive.
Oh man, I talked about this.
Maybe if their father's really hard on them, that could be one of them.
Yeah.
You know, but again, like raising my kids, I was like, not sure. Like, do I be harder on them, or do I not want to be that? But then are they going to lose their drive and just be kind of like whatever? You know, it's like a hard decision.
I'll tell you this. You know, my boys, you know, that we always talk about football, and we were having a conversation last weekend, and my twins said, "Dad, you're getting soft." And I looked at them and I'm like, because you know me, when it comes to football, I'm like, and I'm like, you said what? Is that a challenge? But for me, I think that stemmed from, you know, this journey that I'm on, because I'm trying to find ways to love them differently, to, you know, show up differently. And in that, maybe I have softened a little bit, but that's something that, you know, I'm going to say I struggle with, because you still want to be the leader, the coach, the entrepreneur, the go-getter. And yet maybe, and this is not saying it's a direct reflection of, you know, what I'm going through, but how do you battle going through the transformation and keeping everything else in check?
Again, our words are important. It doesn't have to be a battle. How do I understand myself better?
Yes.
Why do I want to be the go-getter? Why do I want to be those other 3 or 4 labels that you put on yourself that you identified with because it did something for you? It's like, what's really in that for me? And can I do the same kind of thing but show up differently?
I love that.
You know? Like, do I have to be the go-getter? What am I going to get?
What am I getting? What am I getting again?
What am I really getting at here? You know? Can I be the go-giver?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I like that one.
And still be successful, but show up a little bit differently because I'm being driven from something else and have more balance in my life. You know, and when something triggers you, like triggers are really interesting because Like, yeah, like, oh, that person really pissed me off. But what was it really about it that pissed you off? What was the trait behind what was the actual action that happened, right? Mm-hmm. Like sometimes a trigger will be within you. Like where did I do this to myself? Where did I do this to other people? Where did I do this to that person? Like an example, like driving in traffic and someone cuts you off and you grip your steering wheel and you get all pissed off. And it's like, you're not really triggered by them driving faster and cutting you off, but maybe it's a recklessness or they're inconsiderate.
Inconsiderate, yeah.
You know, okay. So where are you inconsiderate to yourself? Where are you inconsiderate to other people? Because it's a mirror that's shining back at you. That's what the trigger is, right? But again, like our emotions are always trying to speak to us. So once you learn how to understand them better versus try to numb them or avoid them, it gives you this whole framework to understand yourself and the world better, and you get triggered less. It's not about me, actually.
I'll speak from my own experience this morning. When I did the session this morning, I couldn't find the same depth. And the first time I did it, I was after work, a little bit more relaxed because I knew there was nothing left to be done for the day. This morning, I had the world in front of me. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for many people that might be listening, there's so much responsibility, things that need to be done that pull you at any given point in time. So how do you get into the right mindset so that you can actually let go and have the right experience, the type of experience that you're looking for?
So the first thing is you got to drop all expectations of what it's supposed to be like. Because it's going to be different every single time, whether it's a plant medicine journey, whether it's a breath work, whether it's a meditation. And like you got some good feedback for yourself there. Okay, it's probably not the best time to do it right before a busy day. I know you want to get it done before today. So, okay, like how do I create a better time and place where I can allow myself to drop in? Maybe there's some fear if I go as deep as I did yesterday, am I going to be able to show up for my 9 o'clock? You know? And sometimes that control mechanism is very strong and it will actually block you a little bit. And it's normal, right? But it's like dropping the expectation, but making a commitment to yourself to continue to explore in a way that feels good to you. So you try different things and you follow your intuition. It's like, oh, this worked. Okay, there's something there. Let me try it again. Let me try to go a little bit deeper. Let me try
what are we actually chasing? What are we trying to experience?
Peace. That's the most important. Because from peace, everything is possible. When you have all the things in the world, if you don't have peace, you have nothing. And most people's minds are the least peaceful place in the whole universe. And when you ask people what do they actually want, they don't know it, but I think most people just want to be at peace.
I said this to a member of the team yesterday, and I said it jokingly, but I meant it to be true. I challenge people to just stop and have 3 minutes of peace. No cell phones, no one around you. Just stop and breathe. Because from my own experience, limited as they are, that 3 minutes could be probably the best 3 minutes that you've had in a long time.
Listen, there's a lot of business coaches that I've seen that have some form of practice like that, where it's like 30 minutes in the morning, no phone, no nothing, clear my mind, whatever comes on this paper, I write it down. It's like free time.
Yeah.
Writing, journaling, notes, ideas, and you'll see in that state of peace, the best ideas come. The solutions to the problems that you couldn't solve.
100%.
When you're always in the analytical, go, solve, you kind of like get caught in that hamster wheel.
Well, as I said, just sitting this morning, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take the time, and I did my usual morning routine, and then I put this in. I said, I'm giving myself 2 hours. I'm going for this. And when I was done, I came up with new ideas, solutions, and I'm like, I did this while I was not thinking.
So here's a good example. So you didn't have the same experience you had the day before, but something happened. You had clarity.
Yeah.
You had openness, space. And sometimes that's exactly what you need. You get what you need, not what you want most of the time.
I'm clearly realizing this.
But the more you go there, you see, okay, this is actually what I need to create more space. Like you have all this productivity, creativity that came out of it. Maybe you didn't need an emotional release on day 2.
Please not on a Friday.
So again, like a lot of people, like, again, come into breath work and set an intention that I want to find my purpose and, do the whole breath work, and they come out like, I don't know, it didn't work, blah, blah, blah. And they tell me they had this crazy vision and someone came to them from their past and, you know, by the time we get to the bottom of it, it's actually exactly what they needed, because in this story, you know, of someone who had passed away came back to them that they thought was super courageous, had no fear, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the vision, she's like, here, take my courage. Right? And I said, okay, like what if the next step to finding your purpose is you have to have courage to go against the things that are scaring you? Because your purpose is not something someone's going to give you on a platter. It's a process to kind of go towards it. And she's like, oh my God, like what are you scared of in life? And she's like, this, and that. It's like, okay, do you think if you got over that, you'd be a little bit closer to your purpose? She's like, absolutely. Okay, so sometimes you got to still sit with it and contemplate, like, what was this journey? And for a lot of people in breath work, it's just their mind shutting off for 5 minutes. They're like, I didn't know what that could even feel like. You know, and if you can do it for 1 minute or 2 minutes, it means you can do it for longer. It's possible. But once you see what's possible, then you have like hope. You see a light. Okay, you know, we can expand and grow from here. But to answer your early question, it's peace. Peace is the point. And one of the spiritual guys that I follow, he said, like, most people get manifesting wrong. You know, their vision board, they have, you know, the Ferraris, the big houses, all the stacks of money, the 4 seasons vacation. But if you're not manifesting peace first, then all that stuff doesn't matter. You can go there and be in your head the whole time you're there, and you're going to miss the whole thing, you know? But when you operate from this state of peace, like, anything is possible. And some of like the best entrepreneurs, like, you can see they're so like, some of them are calm, or the ascended masters, or the black belt ninjas that are just like, yeah, they're present. They're not coming in just like, they're just like, come, they just knock you out, you know, type thing. But that comes from a place of presence. You know what I mean? And I think that's the ultimate place to operate from.
Walk me through what's happening in the body when someone's doing breath work. What are we actually experiencing?
So there's different types of breath work. So the one that you're probably talking about was like, it's like a controlled hyperventilation. So what's happening is, as we're doing the rhythmic breathing, the brainwaves start changing. It goes from like beta, alpha, theta, maybe even gamma, sometimes with music and stuff like that. So that's one thing. Your heart rate will change.
Sorry to cut you off, does the volume of the music also intensify the experience?
It depends. I think like the right level is good. Too loud might take you out of it. Sometimes too low will make you like kind of think about it. But again, you don't even need music. You can do breath work without music. You can go on the beach and just breathe.
I love music.
Yeah, me too. Your heart rate starts to change. Studies have shown that breathing can help you increase your heart rate variability, which is an important marker for overall health, creativity, and productivity as well. What's also happening, what's creating the actual like out-of-body psychedelic euphoric experience is the science shows it's a drop in CO2 levels. So when we breathe, what actually triggers your feeling that you need to breathe is the level of carbon dioxide in your blood. It has nothing to do with oxygen. If the oxygen in this room dropped right now, we just pass out. We wouldn't feel like out of breath. We'd just be like later. So when the carbon dioxide rises, everyone's got a different threshold. It makes you feel that feeling of needing to breathe. So every time we inhale, oxygen goes to like 95 to 100% if you ever done like a blood test, or the thing you put in your finger, the SpO2 meter. But as we're breathing, we're blowing off CO2. Now, CO2 is not a waste gas, very important. CO2 actually is what delivers the oxygen molecules to your muscles, to your organs, to your tissues, to your brain. So if we expel a lot of CO2 from breathing, less oxygen gets to the brain. More oxygen gets held into the blood, so your blood becomes more alkaline, and your brain oxygen level drops. And that's what kind of creates this like near-death experience, kind of euphoria kind of state. The oxygen's dropping just enough that you might have visions, you have memories. The brain is sort of changing activity because of this drop in oxygen. So that's really what's happening. You might have sensations in your body, which is again around the pH, trying to recalibrate. So your hands can get really stiff. You can feel tingling sensations.
Yeah. Experienced all that stuff. By the way, you did not warn me about that. Because I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of physiological changes that are happening. And then some people will have like the craziest experiences, like these out of body experiences. Like I've heard it all. And I've had people that have shared that they've had physical healing happen. They've had these crazy stories. Like this one guy, we were at this retreat in Peru. We're on a mountain, and I was actually just a participant. I got invited, and they're like, "Hey, Gio, want to do some breath work?" I was like, "Okay." So we had this little speaker did breath work, and after one of the guys had a really deep emotional experience. We'd already been in this like men's group for a few days, so we were already sharing a lot. So the guys were really open. And And he comes up to me after and he's like, hey, Gio, I just healed my autoimmune disease. And I'm like, cool. And again, like a lot of people have these visions, experiences after breathwork. And I know sometimes it's a metaphor, sometimes it's like just like a symbol, sometimes it's whatever. But what it's actually doing is trying to create something within you, a feeling, a response, a reflection. Like, for example, I have a few people that said they're going to be the future president of the United States. So they're going to be really connected one day. And I know it's probably like, what does that mean to you? Yeah. You know, like what's this trying to like show you internally? So anyways, shares a story. I'm like just there to support him. Like, cool. I think not much of it. 2 months later, I'm doing, get asked to go do something in Alaska, and he shows up and he has a 6-pack of beer and a pizza. He comes to my Airbnb. I'm like, hey, what are you doing here, Jake? So I'm coming to the retreat. I heard about it. Guess what? I can eat pizza and drink beer now. And 3 months ago, if I would have done that, I would have been in the bathroom for 3 days, like maybe in the hospital. And what he shared after that, so tell me a bit more what happened. He had this emotional release from when he was a kid. He grew up Mormon, really like strong, like fear-based religion, and he held on to it. In the experience, he went into his inner child and let him out of this cage, this like, I guess, metaphorical cage that he was hiding in for his whole life. And when you think about it, a lot of stress hormones, they're actually create stress cortisol in the body, which was designed for fight or flight. Makes you go to the bathroom. So a lot of people with IBS, Crohn's, it's actually like something to do with their emotional body. Can be. I'm not making medical claims here. That's out of whack. And this constant fear and worry is creating this thing. And he said after that like in that session, he said he felt it lift and it never came back because it was that fear that he had from, that he was holding on to, like some of these programs I was talking about earlier. And then he was able to eat that stuff again, which is, listen, I'm not claiming that this can cure anything,
but you
it's
never know.
One example of so many that I've seen, that I've heard people get off their medications. You know, people, I'm not saying get off your medications or we're doing this, but they said, like, I got off heart medication, I got off depression, anxiety stuff, because I started doing this stuff, started connecting more with myself, started feeling more peace. I didn't need that stuff anymore, right?
Well, maybe you never did, and that's probably what this is about, right?
Right. Your nervous system, your emotions trying to speak to you, and you said, I don't want to listen, so I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to take something that's not going to make me feel this anymore, right? And it's still trying to make you feel it, but you just can't anymore. It's like taking an aspirin. Like, the actual pain is probably still there. The receptor that feels it's kind of cut off, you know?
So you're working with your nervous system directly. And for me, I'm still thinking there might be a few people that are still skeptical or maybe even nervous. So let me ask you about this. When I had my first experience in the sauna, it was too much, okay? As I said, it was public. I wasn't ready. I thought this was going to be this great idea because I love the heat, right? That's the Jamaican in me. But I wasn't ready for the emotions. And how do you help someone who is nervous or skeptical take their first real step?
So first, like I told you, never doing a sauna, never doing a pool. You want to do somewhere where if you were to like get lightheaded or pass out, like you're going to be safe. I would say work with a coach, go to like a live session, someone that can guide you through it. There's a lot of people, we train a lot of people, or just go slow, like go on the app and like, listen, you're always in control. As you start feeling some sensation, slow it down. But emotions are a big part of this work, all of them. The good ones, the bad ones, being able to feel them, to process them. Because if you're holding it, imagine you're just holding on to something, you're burying it deep inside that wants to come out. It doesn't want to be there. Your body doesn't want it there, your nervous system, but your mind is like, hey, I don't want to go there. So part of this process of liberation, of freeing yourself, of expansion is about being able to process these emotions. And sometimes you got to really sit in them and it sucks, you know, and maybe you're not ready for that, but over time, like it's that's kind of the process. As you get a little more comfortable, a little bit more resilient to your nervous system, you slowly build up your capacity. You go little by little, right? And for some people, it's just breathing better every breath they take. It's going to help their nervous system, you know?
I found myself to be real. Yeah, I say, I breathe automatically. Now that I'm, you know, even before talking to you, but even more so after talking to you, I realize I don't breathe. I actually don't breathe.
So for athletic performance, important, like building up your CO2 tolerance, the ability to withstand the CO2 really doesn't affect your nervous system and your mind. Because what happens is when we go into this fight or flight mode, our breath gets shallow, just up in our chest, and we're like almost like panting. And the yogis saw this. They noticed that as observed animals, the animals that breathe the quickest live the shortest. Dogs, stuff like that, they breathe really quick. They have short lives. Turtles, that breathe really slow live 150 years, you know? So the pace of the breathing really affects lifespan. And so just simple things like that, breathing through your nose instead of your mouth, that signals your parasympathetic nervous system. Breathing into your diaphragm also signals the parasympathetic nervous system. So just learning the breathing mechanics has a huge impact on your capacity and what you can start doing. And there's a lot of ways to do that.
It really does kind of meet you where you are, is what I'm going to say. If you're not ready to have the right experience, if you're not, I'm going to say yes. If you're not ready to have the right experience, it's probably going to meet you where you are. Let's put it like that.
So I would say there's no right starting point. It's everyone, and maybe it's not breath work. Some people's meditation. Some people starts with healthy eating. Some people just reading some books. I would say what's most important is follow your intuition. Whatever sparks your curiosity around wellness, expansion, even if it's religion, whatever it is, start going there and listening to yourself. Try something, see how you feel. Don't force yourself. If someone's the two things I would avoid is people that push you too far too quickly and people that have all the answers. If someone says they have all the answers, run the other way.
That sounds familiar.
I think Ram Dass said that. If they claim to know what's best for you and that there's only one way to do it, I would just run the other way.
Oh, yes, agreed. I say it all the time in business. People walk in here, they're like, if I said to you, yeah, invest all your money, you should run. No, we don't want all your money. No, and no one should, right? Yeah. So what does it look like when someone's going through the transformation, or even, once they kind of come through it?
Like in an actual session? Yeah, sometimes it looks like they're suffering. They're crying, they're rolling around, their body's shaking. Sometimes they just look completely zenned out, and everyone's different the way they respond, they process things. You learn as a facilitator, that it's part of the process and that it's actually good as long as they're doing it in a safe environment, as long as the space is being held. Listen, breathwork is probably one of the most safest modalities. Almost zero side effects. There's a few contraindications if you're very sick or on certain medications, or if you have schizophrenia or bipolar. Otherwise, or if you have epilepsy, it should be controlled, medicated. Other than that, they've done studies of tens of thousands of people doing the most intense breath work, only positive outcomes, no negative side effects. It's super safe. The most dangerous thing that can happen, you get up too quick and you fall down and bump your head. Or you do it in a pool and you pass out, you can drown. So you wouldn't do that, or the sauna.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very safe. It was very low risk and a lot of upside. And people usually feel different on their first session. They're going to feel something.
Okay.
Now, if your nervous system is really kind of dysregulated, maybe the more intense breath work is not where you want to start, because it can make you feel a little more dysregulated. But also what can happen is a lot of people have this unprocessed or uncompleted trauma that's stored in their body, and the breath work can help complete that and release something they've been holding on to for a long, long time. Where it's in the body, that's the debate. Is it stored in your brain? Is it stored in your tissues? Is it stored in your heart? But when you release it, you feel it and you feel different.
You said previously that the transformation on the other side is more depth and more expansion. But what are people actually afraid of losing? Because for me, I felt, what if I change? And what if, I'm not me anymore? And that was the resistance.
This is the paradox.
Yes.
Because people want to change and they're afraid to change. I know what I feel right now is not exactly what I want to feel. But I'm not going to do something that's going to change, because what if I change the wrong way? Right?
Agreed.
I see it all the time.
Listen, I do okay. I'm a high performer. I like being me. I do.
Yeah, that's the big fear, is the uncertainty of what will happen, right? And again, it's important to have a good support network, coach, someone who's kind of leading you through it, a mentor. Maybe you're reading the books, doing it online. They just jump and go to a plant medicine retreat with no experience, no mentorship, no integration plan after. I would say, okay,
good luck.
That was me.
You seem okay.
Yeah, but sometimes it can open up something that is going to take some processing. If you have a really deep traumatic memory that you've buried for a long time, yes, it's probably holding you back. Yes, by processing it and bringing some new awareness and healing it, change the story around it, it will definitely create change. But that process in between, you're going to be a little bit tender. You might feel things come up a little bit more. You might have to really sit with it. And it's being prepared for that. You know, and so some people, like, they're feeling pretty good, and it's like, okay, like, I don't want to even bother going there.
I don't need to go there. I'm pretty good. I feel great.
Until they have to. Or sometimes they do the work. They don't even remember or realize that there was this thing there. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people come to a memory. It's like, I totally forgot about this.
Well, I know I've said this to you before. I like to take things and, like, I just kind of store them on the shelf, right? And like, oh, yeah, you know what? I'll deal with that one day. Yeah, I'll put that over there. Nah, that's not needed, right?
But all those things are showing up somewhere in your life right now, in some way, shape, or form. And you're not probably directly correlating it to that, but it is. You know, ways you react, ways that you may be impulsive in some ways that you may, like, shut down, ways that you may, like, get upset or feel emotion or don't feel emotion. So again, it's choose your own journey. Like, the exploration is like, you don't know what you're going to find. Sometimes you get more questions than answers, but personally, I want to have it another way because the expansion is different. Like, the way I feel now versus the way I used to feel, it's like, it's night and day. Is life going to become effortless? Probably not. Are you still have more challenges, things come up? Yeah. Because every time I go through kind of one thing, you know, I know eventually there's going to be another layer that's ready to unfold now that I wasn't ready for before. But it helps me be a better dad, better at business, better husband, a better friend, you know, someone that has deeper relationships, you know. So for me, it's worth it. And I know the challenges when they come. It's like, okay, like, this is something that has a lot of value. There's a treasure in here for me. Mm-hmm. Every experience has got a silver lining to it. If you can, like, have the eyes to see it and to kind of sit through it.
So you can still be that type A personality even after you've gone through this.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less type A. You know, because the type A is your control freak. Because they're afraid of making a mistake. Why? What's going to happen? Am I going to get reprimanded? Is someone not going to like me? Am I going to lose my job? You know, like, there's fears behind it. So yes, they'll be super organized still. They'll have a high capacity to do those things, but there's not going to be driven in the same way. That's going to be like nervous system on edge all the time.
Which is a positive thing.
Very positive. Because you're not going to lose all the skills you built that was there. And I almost think that all of those skills that people build from that part of their life is actually going to be something important they're going to need to use once they've come back to their authentic self, right? To allow them to do the things. And whether that's being the best mom, the best soccer coach, or the best entrepreneur, it's unique to every single person.
So that fear is real. And let me ask you this directly, because I know some people listening are probably wondering the same thing. People hear the term breath work and emotional release, and they think it's not for them. It's too soft. It's too spiritual. What do you say to that person now?
They're right. Because that's the lens through which you're viewing it. I'm not trying to change their mind of what their perspective on it is. But if you never tried it, you'll never know. And
don't knock it till you rock it.
And I think Wim Hof, like, changed that whole thing because it was perceived as that, you know, like even yoga or stuff like that. Like, man, my wife just became a Pilates instructor. I was like, yeah, that workout's for girls. She put me on the reformer and I couldn't move for like 3 days. Kicked my ass completely.
Yeah, completely different workout.
And I have a different appreciation for it now, you know. And so I think it's perspective, but where is that perspective holding you back from other areas in life? You know, it's too spiritual. What does that mean? What's your perspective on spirituality?
For some, I mean, do they believe? What do you believe in?
Well, that's probably what you gotta sit with. Like, I'm using this as a thing to say, hey, like, it's too spiritual, I don't want to do it. Okay, what are your beliefs? Do you believe in God? Do you have faith? You know, like, again, like, maybe they don't. Maybe they're atheists, or maybe they don't really know what it is. But I would say it's like something that everyone should try. You know, same with everything. The same thing about plant medicine and ayahuasca. I think if you die without trying these things, it's the same as like never having sex, never being a parent, never getting married. Like, these key life experiences, it's like you had an opportunity to do it, you didn't try. It's something that has so much depth that's so far out of what your current experience is if you've never experienced it, you know? But there has to be that call to it, because I can't force anyone to do breath work. I can't force anyone to do anything. They got to kind of feel it, you know, or be open to trying because they're feeling something needs to change, right? And that's usually what it takes, some sort of calling. And that's with everyone, whether it's a rock bottom or a curiosity. So
here's my last question before we have some fun.
Right. We're not having fun yet?
Well, when I say I have fun, I mean the rapid fire round.
Okay.
Let's define this in plain English, okay? Because I want to make sure that the person that's driving listening to this, or the person that's, washing dishes listening to this, they are totally with us, and they understand. In plain English, in 30 seconds, what is this transformational process? And what does it do?
30 seconds. I'm very long-winded, so I'll try my best. But basically, your experience of life is made up through the lens through which you see it, which is your perception. And that perception is made up of your life experiences, your beliefs, and everything. And the whole world can change in an instant if you start to change that dial a little bit. The way to change that dial is doing the inner work. And so nothing in the world has to change. And from one day you can be depressed, anxious, upset, and the next day you can have a whole different outlook. Happy, peace, expansion. Mm-hmm. So that's the transformation work. It's the inner work that gives you a different perspective on life, who you are, how you show up, how the world is, relationships, all that. And you let go of a lot of things that you're holding on to. Anger, fear, resentment, shame. Like, that's the process. If you want to keep holding on to that stuff and hide it and put in your things, no problem. If you want to start working on letting that go so you feel a little bit lighter, a little bit happier, a little bit less kind of under the gun in life, then that's what the transformation work is for. And on the other side of it is your wildest dreams. I don't know, does that sum it up in 30 seconds?
That's pretty good. I would say it's actually perfect.
Okay, cool.
And I would add, from my own personal experience, this is not meditation. It's not yoga. It's not therapy. It's its own thing that I was not ready for. But what I would say, with even my limited experience that I've had, it shifted something. It shifted something inside me. And, jokingly, hopefully jokingly, Evan said to me yesterday, well, Clyde, you've been in a better mood the last couple of days. And I'm like, huh.
Listen, I would challenge anybody to do breath work for 30 days straight. I don't care if you just find any YouTube video out there, you go on our app, you'll be a different person in 30 days. Like, I can guarantee it. If you just spend minimum 15 minutes every morning doing breath work, in 30 days you'll be a different person. Your mindset's going to change. Your perspectives will start to change. Like things will really start to shift. And I know people that have turned their whole life around just by doing that. Wake up, take a cold shower, 15 minutes of breath work.
I mean, I don't know what I don't know. And I think everybody has heard me say that before, but something's going on.
and I just want to be clear too, like, transformation can include breath work, but it doesn't have to. Mm-hmm. You can transform yourself starting, like, my journey actually started probably with my diet changing.
As did mine.
Right? So, like, there's a lot of pathways there, and there's some things that will help to accelerate it, to go a little bit deeper, to kind of see when you're ready that it'll come up. Like, it's no coincidence that you're at where you're at in your life and we reconnected. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of how it happens. And when you start really seeking, putting that intention out there, that curiosity, even if you're not saying it out loud, you're going to start pulling in those things that are going to catch your attention, that are going to be ready to receive you and bring you to that next, stepping stone. All right, rapid fire, go for it.
Are you ready?
No, but let's do it anyways.
All right. So, as I said, this is literally my favorite part, and I'm very interested at the answers you're going to give.
Oh, God.
And for you, Gio, you're getting 10 questions. We added 3 more. So, here we go.
Where's the producer? I didn't sign up for this.
Rapid fire, 10 questions. Here we go. Breath work or meditation, if someone could only use one?
I'm biased, breath work, but they're very closely related. Breath work.
Worst place to do breath work for the first time? My answer, sauna.
Yes, you never want to do it in the sauna or the pool. I would say anywhere you don't feel safe.
One emotion most people are terrified to feel.
To feel or to express? Because terrified to feel is fear.
To express.
I'd say sadness, vulnerability.
Ego. Enemy or teacher?
Amigo. Teacher.
Amigo, I love that. The most common thing high performers are running from?
It's themselves, really. It's the standards they set for themselves. It's based on standards that were set for them, probably at some point, but it's the standards they set for themselves.
Can a young athlete use breath work the same way a CEO would?
Both can use it for performance, so improving functional breathing to get better energy, clarity, and then also for visualization, creativity. So an athlete can go through how they're going to perform, see them winning, watch that perfect kind of like whatever move that they got to do, so really get into the visualization. CEO, the same thing, like visualizing the company, how things are working. So there's two sides to it, performative and like the performance side and the visualization side.
Biggest myth about transformation?
That it's easy. That it's easy and it's only for spiritual people.
Oh, okay. So it's really for everyone. Everyone can do this.
I see so many people that I would never think were spiritual, business, like they're just looking for an edge, you know, and they want to transform. And they realize that like there's many dimensions that they're not accessing, creativity, feelings, emotion, that they've heard or they've seen someone else do and unlock better performance, richness of life, whatever it is you want to call it.
Best advice you ever got about slowing down?
Yeah, a lot of people have told me to slow down in my life. But the best I've heard was to observe nature. Nature doesn't rush and everything gets done. And you see a dog, sometimes you just stop, it'll just stare. It's kind of just like checking out, being present. And I guess to be more like nature and to not rush, just allow things to unfold. And there's this, I think it's in the Tao, it's like do without doing. It's like, I spent a lot of time thinking about that one. But it's when you're not performing, things will just happen naturally. You're going to do it without trying to do it. You know what I mean? And that takes a lot of like stillness and slowing down.
And I like that, you know, and I'll expand on that because you said do it without performing. And I know we spoke about this a little bit in our you know, kind of prep call. For some, it's about, you know, I shouldn't say it's about, but they're performing so much in their daily life, whether they're trying to be the best salesperson or trying to be the best athlete or whatever that might be. That performance is just driving them further and further away from probably who they really want to be and where the happiness really, really is.
Yeah, for me, I think like there's a distinction between being a true artist and a performer, right? And I've seen some performers that are perfectly pitched opera singers that are perfectionists. And I've seen others that are like, they know three chords and guitar. They don't care if anyone's listening, and they share from this rawness that you can feel it, you know, or an artist that doesn't care if anyone ever sees their work. They're just like so about expressing themselves in that art. And there's people that is like, hey, if no one sees me do this, there's no point doing it. Right? It's like, what's driving you? Is it that passion of just like really creating and expressing yourself? Or is it like, I need validation or I need to prove?
Finish this sentence. Most people spend their whole life trying to
get to a destination that doesn't exist.
Destination unknown.
When I get this, then I'll be happy. Once I do that, they're jumping from point to point, realizing that there's nowhere to go. Or not realizing that there's actually nowhere to go.
I like that. So what does it feel like when someone finally breaks?
Kind of like that. It depends what the breakthrough is, but a lot of the times it can be euphoric, but it's like aha moment. It's like seeing what you couldn't see before. It's just like an expansion in awareness. Yeah, it's a shift. Most of the times it's like a sigh of relief, maybe a little bit of peace too.
Gio, this is what I needed. And for some people that are listening, I hope they can relate. If this stirred something in you today, I highly suggest that you give this a try, give Gio a call, because you need to make the first step. And for me, it's just the beginning. But I find calmness in having Gio by my side right now. Before we sign off, take 2 seconds. Tell people, how do they find you?
Instagram at Elemental Gio, our website, elementalrhythm.com. I'm sure we can share these in the show notes. We have stuff on Spotify, some tracks on YouTube. Like, we're trying to make it accessible for people to try and get experience. And we're creating a lot more stuff for people to help them on these journeys, like courses and online stuff as well. So that's where you can find me. And there's one thing about the nervous system is that a regulated nervous system can co-regulate other nervous systems. So think about it in your family, in your workplace. If you're regulated, everyone's going to be attuned to you, especially if you're a leader. And when you're around other people, our hearts are actually giving off a frequency that we can feel up to 30 meters. They've measured it. So the frequency you're giving off actually has an impact on everyone around you. So how do you want to show up, and how do you want to affect their nervous systems? Do you want to be something that's dysregulating them, putting them in fear? Or do you want to be someone that's going to make them feel safe and comfortable? Because when people are safe, they perform better. And no pun intended what I was talking about before, but they can produce better. They're not on edge. And you're gonna have closer relationships, you're gonna have better quality of life, and there's so many amazing things that come out of it. So connect with me if you want, but my best advice to you is just follow your intuition, follow your heart, do one thing a little bit different, go outside your comfort zone and just explore a little bit and just follow that heart. Even sometimes when the mind says no, if your heart's saying yes, just give it a try. Do it safely, do it at your own pace, but do something.
I love it. And for me, I'm just gonna say, thank you again, my friend.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And for everyone, take the time. If this resonated with you, it might resonate with someone else. So take the opportunity to like, share, and follow. Thank you very much, Gio.
Thanks, Clyde. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for listening.
Uptown Experts, we're out.